following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
You can't escape the cold. It's going to follow you everywhere you go. If you stay here in Manhattan or you make it out to Kansas City on Saturday, I think the Chiefs and Dolphins should just talk about, let's just play a quarter. Or let's take knees in the first half and let the second half decide it.
Yeah. Get together in the locker room and determine one player from each team and just play rock, paper, scissors, call it good.
Or, there may hardly be anybody at the game. Let's just pack everybody in an indoor facility and let's kick this thing off.
Why not?
I had a good chuckle today. One of the social media outlets that I follow is called The Score, and it's actually a Canadian sports network. And they were reporting on how cold it was going to be and stating how, going off on how people are going to be bundled up and the like. And I'm like, if the Canadians are talking about it this way.
It's cold. It's cold because they're like, oh, big deal.
Yeah, 32 below wind chill. Yeah, who cares?
Oh,
good thing it's basketball season. The K-State men play at Texas Tech on Saturday at 3 o'clock. The K-State women. And last report from Brian Smoller that over 5,500 tickets have been sold, so the place will be at least half full of people looking for a top 15 basketball game in town. Number 10, Texas is visiting K-State, number 12 in the country, tipping off at 1 o'clock. And then, by the way, we cap off your local sports triple header tomorrow with playoff action. The Kansas City Chiefs wild card round against the Miami Dolphins, both teams 11-6. Kickoff temperature will be 5 degrees, wind chill at 30 below, and expecting 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Tickets are cheap. And by the way, the Peacock Network trying to hold everybody hostage for a few bucks here and there. K-Man has it for free.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Save your money. Listen to the game. Listen to the best play-by-play voice in radio history.
Yeah. Not only that, but their pregame stuff is like second to none. They do a great job pregame-wise. Tune in, Chiefs Kingdom action, learn all you got to learn. That way you don't sound like an idiot.
Look, I'm not going to get the Peacock Network. I'm going to listen on K-Man. Mm-hmm. Don't give in. Mm-hmm. Keep it to K-Man and listen to the Kansas City Chiefs in a who knows who's going to win game because the weather is by far the biggest factor.
It is. And, the Dolphins got a strong running game. When it's cold, you got to run the ball. And, Mostert and co.
Not to mention the wind.
The wind?
I think things would certainly be a little bit different if there wasn't the wind.
Yeah.
It's already crazy cold. But when you have the 30 below wind chill and it's blowing at 30 miles per hour, I don't know if you could wear much that it's not going to cut straight through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Special teams is going to be a nightmare.
Oof. And that's where the Chiefs...
it already is with the Chiefs, but that's another matter.
Not Harry Butker, though. Harry Butker is one of the more,
He's only missed, what, 1 or 2 kicks this year?
He's had a really good year.
Yeah, but boy, he hasn't had to kick in a...
That's true. In a whatever,
freaking blizzard,
vortex, a winter vortex.
Yeah, swirling winds. Come on.
Owen, are you wearing a Baltimore Ravens division championship shirt?
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6 years old. This is an old one.
Okay.
I've got holes in the armpits and everything. It's been around for a while.
The North is not enough.
That sentiment rings true this year as well. I got a big game. I got to wait a week for more football for me. But
do you know the stand-up comedian Stavros Halka?
Yes.
Have you seen his Baltimore Ronnie?
Yes.
Man, it's so funny.
I love those sketches so much.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
He does a Baltimore Ronnie after every game. It's good. Pretty good.
Not safe for work, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Owen looks like if Stavros and Post Malone had a baby.
And then you just cut the hairline back a little bit. That's where I'm at.
That's a
where I'm at.
cool baby.
Very talented.
Super talented baby, man.
I just want to, by the way, point this out. It was just pointed out in the family chat because of where my niece is going to school. It's actually warmer in Binghamton, New York than it is here.
Oof.
That's crazy.
Well, did you see the pictures of so they're looking at maybe who does Buffalo have? Remind me.
Pittsburgh.
Thank you. They were talking about maybe moving that game to Cleveland or something, but they're going to keep it in Buffalo, and they just got like a foot of snow.
Oy.
And now they're like, what is? I don't know if the game's tomorrow or Sunday, but they're looking to quickly start cleaning up that stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been asking fans. They're like, hey, you guys want to come shovel some snow for the game?
No.
Might give them a free ticket to come shovel some snow. We should do that.
That's how they usually do that. Green Bay has done that in the past as well.
That's not worth it.
In getting people into the game by helping them.
Yeah, I need a concession stand voucher too. Something.
Yeah.
You got to pay for the parking. I need something else.
Again, I go back to something I said this morning. Don't be stupid this weekend. If you are going to the Chiefs game, I joke about warming fluid. No, in that temperature, it's not a good idea to be hammering $15 beers.
Meanwhile, around here, as you could probably imagine, first of all, shout out to Rock Creek and Wamego. They moved their basketball games up to yesterday. They got their games played. Meanwhile, Manhattan, Junction City, Riley County, they've all had to postpone for tonight, so no Manhattan High hoops tonight. They're set to take on Washburn Rural. That game has yet to be rescheduled. So once we find out, we let you know. And also, the TVL tournament starts tomorrow, so Frankfurt and Blue Valley don't have to worry until tomorrow in Onega. Mm-hmm. But for now on, those games are still on for the first round action in Onega. So Scoreboard Saturday coming up at 8 a.m. with AJ Shaw here on K-Man tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, here on the show, we're going to be joined by the founder of the Raiderland.com, Ryan Hyatt, will join us in our next couple of segments. We did a couple of segments talking some Red Raider basketball, a little bit of football, plus his thoughts on Matt Wells becoming now a co-OC and quarterbacks coach here at K-State. He'll give us his 2 cents on the kind of coach K-State is getting to help mentor and plan for the offense. Well, speaking of Ryan, actually, I was listening to a little bit of his show yesterday just to get, if he were to talk about Texas Tech, get a few notes from him, as we have Mitch Palm coming up in hour number 2, plus Blindly Ranked 5. And he brought up an interesting question. I hadn't even thought about it, but Big 12 hoops this year is going to be way more entertaining than football was this year.
Yeah.
I think it's already clear that we are on our way to an absolute chaotic Big 12 basketball season. Football, for a couple of reasons, I wouldn't say it fell flat. It felt like it was slightly a down year for Big 12 football, just overall as a product, the amount of good teams versus the amount of mediocre to bad teams. It was a little bit more gravitating towards the mediocre to bad teams. It didn't seem like there was enough contenders this year. K-State kind of fell out of that spot, with 2 or 3 games left in the regular season. Texas was by far the best team in the conference. Although they did lose to Oklahoma, they turned out to be the best team in the conference. They made the college football playoff. There was a lack of marquee games. I thought a lack of really good classic games. And also, there were way too many quarterback injuries, way too many first-string guys getting banged up. And heck, the last out of Big 12 play, I think 6 of the 9 games K-State played was against backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
K-State played like that Texas game was, bad first half, very fun second half, and then lose it in overtime. There were some memories, don't get me wrong. The Baylor comeback at UCF was very memorable. Houston winning on a Hail Mary against West Virginia. But I think where, first of all, what basketball has that football doesn't is that UCF, Houston, BYU, and Cincinnati are already, well, maybe not Houston, but the others can probably create some havoc this year. UCF has already beaten Kansas. Cincinnati nearly beat Texas on their home floor the other night, but they're 1-1 in Big 12 play.
Yet Texas almost gets out to an 0-2 start in conference.
Oof.
Yeah, it was one. Texas had a win in on their final possession. And it was Cincinnati for most of that game. BYU has been a top 15 team. They've been an excellent scoring team. But where that chaos is, they started 0-2. And they lost to Cincinnati on their home floor. They just lost at Baylor. You have these newcomers in the Big 12 already adding value to the conference. And that value has actually been pretty fun. It has made the conference even better so far. And then, by the way, you're already down just 2 games in to 3 teams that have a perfect record in conference play. To me, there is no clear favorite in the conference. You could say, yes, it's got to be Houston or KU, maybe a Baylor, maybe an Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma's the number 9 team in the country, and they just lost to who did they just lose to?
TCU.
TCU.
By double digits.
So clearly, and Oklahoma's about to play in Allen Fieldhouse. So many vulnerable teams. And this plays very well for K-State. Because what did I say yesterday is what has been very impressive about K-State hoops so far. Yes, they've played close games against teams you feel like, boy, last year's team would have blown them out. They still figured out ways to win. And this is going to be, game after game, a season where everybody's grinding. You're going to play close games against teams that might not be a top half team in the Big 12. There's so much parity. Night in and night out, maybe I'm getting a little bit too much coach speak here, but night after night, you should legit respect the opponent.
For sure.
The Big 12 is already proving that, probably with the exception of Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is not good, and they're probably not going to be good. I don't see any sort of turnaround coming from Mike Boynton. West Virginia, who is also not looking very good so far, I think they have a shot to turn things around. Now, I don't know if it's top half, Big 12 turn it around, but I think they will be a much better team when K-State plays them again in Manhattan coming up in February. They did not have Dylan or the Edwards kid. I'm blanking. Jesse, thank you.
Sorry, I know you think Dylan immediately because what the roster could have been.
So Jesse Edwards did not play in the K-State game. West Virginia got off to a great start. K-State was just an overall better team and got the best of West Virginia in the second half. But, I mean, K-State women's basketball is a great example of when you get a player back, how things change. This starting lineup that K-State women had was the same last year except for one player. And that is Aoka Lee, who was an All-American center. And, boy, does that change things drastically for both sides of the floor. Now, Jesse Edwards, I don't think he's an All-American, but that is a key contributor to your scoring, your rebounding, and, by the way, your defense. Once he comes back for West Virginia in maybe a couple of weeks, and they have Kirk Creesa, they have Raekwon Battle, and I'm blanking on the other kid's name, but Farrakhan, the guys that transferred and had to sit out for a while, now that they're playing, this is a different story for West Virginia. Josh Eilert is about to have a full team. And does that change for West Virginia? I think possibly so. I think they're going to get better. So watch out in a couple of months when K-State has to play them again, because that could be a much better West Virginia team. We are in store for a chaotic Big 12 schedule. And I'm going to leave it at that. I mean, this weekend alone, I mean, there are 5 or 6 games that, yes, if the underdog wins, you would call it a big upset, potentially in some of them. I could see a lot of stuff happening just this weekend. And I'm not even including K-State, Texas Tech. That, to me, maybe on paper, is the most even game this weekend. But there's still plenty of potential to see 5 or 6 upsets this weekend. It could very well happen. Will it happen? I'd say no, obviously. But I'm just giving you a heads up.
Crazy things, but yet then I look at some of just college basketball in general, and again, you've seen 4 of the top 5 suffer losses already this week, and the top 25 is going to look much different as a whole this coming week because of the number of teams that have gotten knocked off at one point or another. And so it's not just the Big 12 that's shaking out this way. It's college basketball.
It's already been, yes, you bring up a good point in non-con play. There's already been a high amount of bye games going in favor of the team that got paid to be there.
Brutality.
Double bonus, baby.
Brutality.
So here's your warning right now. Get ready to burn your NCAA bracket when you fill it out in March, because it's not going to go it's not going to be good.
I already mentally prepare for that anyway. So
and don't call us and don't call us when you hear the calls on radio. I mean, it's not our fault that your team lost.
Let's take a timeout. Still to come in hour number 2. Mitch Palm against Texas Tech. K-State women get set for number 10 Texas tomorrow afternoon in Bramlage. We'll blindly rank 5. But when we come back, take our first look at the Red Raiders, including the basketball team, but also Ryan Hyatt from the Raiderland.com will tell us about Mount Wells and what kind of coach K-State is bringing in to work with the offense. That's next on the game. Yeah.
This song and Here Come the Obstacle Girl, I'm original gangsta.
Oh, boy.
That song. Oh,
it took me a second to get. I couldn't understand you.
Dude, just listen.
That's Here Comes the Hot Stepper.
Yeah.
Izzy.
Izzy Kamosi or something?
Something
that
like
dude's cool.
Former number 1 song of the day.
Ooh-wee.
Tomorrow, Chiefs coverage. AFL wildcard playoff game. Chiefs hosting the Dolphins. That kicks a little after 7 o'clock. I want to make this very clear. The game is not on NBC. It is on the Peacock app exclusively.
Shut the front door.
I think the Peacock Network paid the NFL $110 million for the exclusive rights for this one game.
Yes, they did.
That's a lot of cash.
That's a lot of cash. That's a ton. What's the return on? I mean, is that going to really bring enough continued income from this one game?
You know what it is? It's the people that forget to end their subscription. Mm-hmm. You know, that they get one more month. They're like ringing in the dough, baby.
Like, I don't know if there's a game that can bring that much money back. I think they picked one of the worst ones. On paper, yeah, this is a great matchup. I'd love to watch this game. Not with the weather how it's supposed to be. I'd rather watch like Dallas and Green Bay in a dome. I would love to watch Stafford and Goff go at it in Detroit. I don't know. I feel like there's better games they could have spent $110 million on.
I think the Dallas Green Bay, that is such a they have fans all over the place. That you would have that's a dream come true if you're paying $115 million. You're getting that back.
Here's the thing about it, though. You know everybody's going to be watching because nobody's going to be in attendance.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Kansas City they're able to watch it, but beyond Kansas City they're not. It is strictly the local market that gets the TV side, much like a Monday Night Football deal with ESPN. So outside of that specific metro, anybody that wanted to go to the game and decided against it because of the weather is going to have to buy Peacock.
If you want to watch it.
So we may look at it as the game itself may stink, but the fact that the weather is cold may very well help Peacock pull this thing off.
Pre-game coverage begins at 6 here on K-Man. Chiefs and Dolphins kick off again a few minutes after 7 o'clock. Save your money. Listen to the game right here on K-Man for free. And by the way, that caps off a triple header. We got the K-State men tipping off at 3. Pre-game, we'll join in progress actually right around tip-off at 3 o'clock for the K-State men at Texas Tech. We'll talk about that game here in just a moment with Ryan Hyatt. Plus, before that, the K-State women, number 12 Cats, hosting number 10 Texas, tipping off at 1, pregame 12:30 here on K-Man. By the way, a triple header of NFL playoffs on Sunday. Starts with the Steelers and Bills at noon. You have the Cowboys and Packers at 3:30. These are kickoff times. And then 7 o'clock, Rams, Lions.
And that's all on K-Man.
All on K-Man.
Dude, I know I'm going to put you on the spot here, but Mitch said something. Mitch Holthus told us earlier this week that it will be the most listened to NFL game in history. Is that what he was saying on Wednesday? Right?
It might be the most listened to local audience. You have a study that came out, or a look at the breakdown in terms of the Nielsen ratings that came out this week, and the Steelers hold the number one spot in basically all listeners. The Chiefs hold the number one spot and number two overall, but number one spot in terms of men, 25 to 54.
Wow.
And it is an unbelievable close to 50 share.
Let's talk Texas Tech Red Raiders. We're now joined by Ryan Hyatt. He is the founder of the Raiderland.com. Ryan, before we get to the Big 12 basketball game tomorrow afternoon at United Supermarkets Arena, I first want to touch on football. You know, I felt Texas Tech was going to be a contender for the Big 12 title this past season, and they start 0-2. They lost at Wyoming, lost at home against Oregon. I know there was high expectations, right, but this had to be a pretty disappointing season.
Yeah, and it was disappointing, and obviously the injuries to Tyler Shuck and Baron Morton played with a banged-up AC joint, which I thought that was something in my truck, but apparently it's in your shoulder area and it keeps you from throwing the ball good. That impacted the team. You're right; it was disappointing based on kind of preseason expectations. But I really go back and I look at the two games that you would want back, and it didn't have anything to do with the injuries. I'm talking about the season-opening loss at Wyoming, where they jumped out to about a 17-0 lead, I believe, and then slowly withered away. Well, Shuck was healthy for that, and then the loss at West Virginia. Even when Shuck goes down there, and West Virginia turned out to be better than we thought, maybe a little bit, but those were two games that I thought you should have gotten no matter what. And that's why it's so hard in this league or in any other, legitimate college football league. The difference between 7 wins, 9 wins, the difference between 9 wins and 11 wins. It's a lot of days like that. So, yeah, disappointing, but I think one of the best things they do around Tech right now, they win bowl games, and the last thing you do, people are happy. So they sell season tickets.
Yeah, and you're definitely right about West Virginia. Neil Brown at the end of the season is getting mayo poured on his head, and I thought at the end of this year he's going to be asking people if they want mayo with their burgers.
Exactly.
Is Baron Morton the guy moving forward at quarterback?
Yeah, I think so. You've got a kid coming in out of Hutto, Texas, that is going to be highly regarded incoming freshman. It's so hard, I think, to make it as a true freshman over a guy like Baron Morton. And you guys at Kansas State, saw this year, with a freshman quarterback, there can be flashes, but it's hard to be the guy all the way. So I think a healthy Baron Morton is a difference maker. We saw in the bowl game him making some throws that we hadn't seen him make really all year when he was beat up. And I'm a big fan of the kid. I think he can be a top tier top tier Big 12 quarterback next year if he stays healthy, which around Lubbock, Texas, we know it's entirely impossible.
Matt Wells is hired by K-State. Former head coach at Texas Tech. The last time he coached a game for Tech was against K-State in a loss and a comeback win for the Cats. So it's one of those classic if you can't beat them, join them situations. But this comes after 2 years. He's an analyst at Oklahoma. Based on his work as a QB mentor and an offensive game planner, what kind of coach is K-State getting?
I think you're getting a really good offensive mind. Let's never confuse Matt Wells, head coach, with Matt Wells, offensive coordinator, or quarterback coach, or whatever you want to do with that. There are a lot of guys who are tremendous coordinators who don't really translate as the lead guy. And that's kind of what happened with Matt Wells. I think he was over his skis just a little bit in Lubbock, and I didn't anticipate it based on, kind of what we'd seen coming out of Utah State. I thought he was ready. He got into an era with the transfer portal suddenly coming around, and he was divergent from what Kirby Hocutt, the AD, wanted, another great Kansas State legend, with either developing high school players and recruiting that focus or going whole hog, because it was so easy to do those first couple of years, go out and get, 15 guys that had been playing for a while. All of that said, I think he's a great hire for Kansas State. I think he's a great hire with your head coach and the relationship they have, and that's all that matters. He's not going to have to run the show. He just has to run his offense. I think it'll be good.
Well, I got to announce him at the last men's basketball game at K-State. Got a very loud reaction from the K-State fans. So Cats are looking forward to how things move forward with Matt Wells and Connor Riley as co-offensive coordinators working together in that capacity. I want to ask you another college football question. And this is just kind of picking your brain. I'm going to ask the boys about this a little bit later on. We kind of talked about it yesterday as well, but the Alabama job is open. It actually sounds like Kalen DeBoer of Washington is going to take that job, but there's most likely 4 or 5 guys that maybe turned down Bama to get to Kalen DeBoer. If you're a successful Power 5 coach, Alabama's job's open, they ask you to take it, are you going to take that job?
Not this year. I'll take it after Kellen DeBoer fails. I'll take it after, Mike Shula fails. I'll take it after Mike Price. Roll Tide, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama at different times has not been Alabama because they've made the wrong choices. Now, this one, I'm not saying if it ends up being DeBoer, maybe it will, maybe it not. It's treated that way, obviously. That's necessarily a bad deal, but, man, never be the guy to follow the legend. Be the guy to follow the guy who followed the legend. Who? Now I'm going all the way back to when Bear Bryant retired. Was it Ray Perkins who took over after that and didn't get to go, and he left the Giants maybe and came back to Bama? Either way, I would not take the Alabama job right now because I don't believe you have to absolutely be at Alabama to have a chance to win the national championship. Now that we're expanding to 12 teams in the playoff, now I think it'll go even bigger later on. But and you might remember this search. We're 2 days into it. It reminds me a little bit of when Nebraska, and I think it was the Callahan hire. I'm not sure, but I think that they thought they were just going to walk out, and every coach in America was going to go to Lincoln. And most of them said, "No, we're good. I don't think we're going to do that." A little hint of that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm taking it's the most pressure in the world. You're asking for no breathing room. And, yeah. I mean, if you lose one game, Nick Saban, when he would lose one game, Tuscaloosa, Alabama's on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no – it's like one of the umpires years ago said, yeah, this is the only job where on opening day they expect you to be perfect and improve as the year goes on. Well, that's going to be what they want out of the next coach. Well, he gave you a Porsche, he gave you a Corvette. It's got to get better from here, right? Okay, good luck with that. And I'm not saying that the next guy's not going to win. I'm not, but I would not take the job. I think that was the original question. And they did call. I want to go on the record and say they did call my agent, and I told them, I'm sorry, I have no interest.
We're going to take a break. Ryan Hyatt's going to join us here for another segment. He is the founder of the Raiderland.com. We take a break, and when we come back, we get into K-State, Texas Tech tomorrow in Lubbock for a little basketball game. That's coming up next on The Game. We continue our discussion here on The Game with Ryan Hyatt. He is the founder of the Raiderland.com, covering the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Let's now jump into the game tomorrow afternoon here, Ryan. K-State doing much better now, 12-3. They're 2-0 in Big 12 play. Texas Tech is also undefeated in conference play. They are 13-2, but also Tech under first-year head coach Grant McCasland, who, of course, Tyler Perry is familiar with, played under McCasland for 2 years in North Texas. Dream Dowling coached under McCasland at North Texas. These two sides know each other, but I want to get your impressions of Grant McCasland. These first 15 games and even in the preseason, what do you think about the guy?
I like the way that he adjusts to talent. I like the way that he gets some dudes, as Jerome Tang would say, gets some dudes together and says, okay, what can we do well? You watched him at North Texas last year, the year before. They were grinded out. Let's play this game like it's 1958, first one to 54 wins. This year, they've been up and down. He's got some players that can run a little bit. They've taken a lot of three-pointers, maybe a few more than I would like to see him take on some nights, but that he's very adaptable. He also seems to be a very good communicator, both to his players, to the fans, to the media. That doesn't hurt anybody that you have that. And that he also came in, and I say that he's adaptable to talent, but he also has a process that he believes in, that he's got put in place, that he's worked to different places. And that to me also is a lot of like what Jerome Tang brought to Manhattan a couple of years ago. I've got a process. We're going to work this process, and it's going to show results, and it did. And he's a likable guy, I mean, he hadn't come out to my house yet for dinner. It's kind of hard to get to sometimes with 4.5 miles of dirt road, but he's just a likable guy.
So the first win of the Big 12 slate was against Texas in Austin. Did that win make up for the pain that took place with the football loss in Austin?
That thing in football was so ugly. It was almost, you're like, okay, what do you do? At a certain point, you were almost laughing. Interceptions going off players' ankles and into the hands. So I don't know that it makes up for it, but it was sweet if you're a Texas Tech fan to say, hey, the last time you went to Austin, for the foreseeable future, you win. Now, that's the context, that's the historical. The reality of it was I think it proved that it was a Texas Tech basketball team that really controlled that game from start to finish. There was about a 4-minute stretch where Texas got hot, Tech reclaimed it, that they proved they can go on the road, that they proved they can get in this league, and if they play smart, good basketball, that they can beat some good teams. Texas, I don't think they should have been ranked at the time, but it doesn't really matter. But that was my bigger takeaway is I needed to see that from this Tech team after a non-conference schedule that wasn't as bad as some of the ones in the previous years, but still left you asking a lot of questions.
You said they're taking too many threes lately, or I mean, last couple of games they've been less than 20. I mean, I think Tech has been pretty good at shooting the three, but they're best in the Big 12. You want them to chill out a little bit on the 3-point shooting?
It depends on who's taking the shot. If that's Pop Isaacs, I'm really good with that. There are several guys in some of the non-conference games where Tech was jacking up, 20, 22, 23 or more three-point attempts, and the percentage was staying as a team, you're right there around 38 or whatever. That was creating some long run-outs, some, missed opportunity. One, you miss your shot. Two, you're giving them some easier shots. It was compressing the field goal percentage. I think they had 13 the other night in that Oklahoma State win. That, to me, is the really good range for them, 13 to 15. Anything else, I think it's the law of diminishing returns. And you look at the assist-to-basket ratio in some of the better wins, and it's a really high assist-to-basket ratio. And a lot of that goes to Joe Toussaint. And he only had 4 assists, I think, the other night. But it's like hockey. It's the first pass that sets up the guy who gets the assist to get the goal. And Toussaint's doing a much better job than any Tech point guard's done in the last several years of setting the offense and getting people moving right that allows the next pass to be the one that scores it.
Yeah, I had a feeling you guys were going to be pretty happy with what you're getting from Joe Toussaint, the transfer from West Virginia this season. Let's go opposite from three-point shooting. Let's go to the paint because K-State the last couple of games so far, I think they've been getting really good paint play from Will McNair and David Gasson. And, Gasson, I think, got a little bit too much criticism for just kind of a string of games where he didn't play well offensively. He did rebound still, but he had a long stretch of not hitting a free throw. And then I see Tech as a 7-foot senior in Darren Washington, who's averaging 10 and 7. Is he going to be a problem on Saturday?
He's got to stay on the floor first. He is a pretty good passing big guy. At times, I think he falls into a little bit of that Euro. Hey, I'm 7 foot. I can be out here. No. Be down there. Be 7 foot. I think the key to him is rebounding and second chance opportunities. It's still not an offense that just, does the old high-low look and you enter it and you come back out and you do stuff. They don't run a lot of offense through him. So it's a credit to him that he's, getting the 10. But if I'm McCaslin, I'm saying board it first, control on the other end, and stay on the floor and be 7 feet tall. You can't coach that. Just go down there, stand there, and be 7 feet tall. I'm going to be intrigued to see how much better he gets during a Big 12 play. And I'm not saying he's been bad at all up to this point. It's like peeling layers away on an onion, I think, on a lot of big guys at the college level these days, and see what else is there. What else more can this guy do? But, yeah, that's going to be a matchup, but it's not that they're going to run it through him offensively. It's what he's going to collect and do to you on that second chance look.
We're with Ryan Hyatt, founder of TheRaiderland.com, as we look at the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Cats in Lubbock tomorrow for a 3 o'clock tip. Ryan, got a couple more questions for you. I'm really looking forward to this guard versus guard game between K-State and Texas Tech. Cam Carter has been excellent this year, 16.7 points per game for K-State. Pop Isaacs has very similar numbers as Cam Carter. Then also you have, like I mentioned, Joe Toussaint. Tyler Perry, is he a hot shooter from 3 in this game? Only time will tell. Pop Isaacs, though, is an interesting case because of what came out in November, and that has been that he's in a civil lawsuit that was filed accusing him of assaulting a minor in a hotel room. maybe there's some major details I'm missing, but is it surprising that he's still playing?
No, not really. Given what we know at this point, I always caveat it by saying, given what we know and what we don't know, and how this civil filing came about, when it did, and some of the extraneous details, we could do a whole show on this, man. So I won't get into the weeds on it. I'm comfortable that he is on the floor for Texas Tech. They immediately referred to their Title IX office on this, even though I don't believe it should fall into a Title IX on Tech because I'm not a Tech student on the other end of this. But anyway, and they signed off. And in this day and age in 2024, I'll just put it this way. If you can get a Title IX office to sign off on something right now that allows a player to continue playing, that tells me, and again, I'm trying to be very delicate here, that maybe the threshold has not been crossed on whether he should be suspended or not. Either way, it's not a good look. It's going to follow him all season long. And if Texas Tech keeps winning, it's going to be a story both within the Big 12 and national. I promise you that.
Yeah, I'm sure you heard the noise up here in Manhattan, Kansas about Naquan Tomlin, and he got arrested. Yeah. But then it seemed like there was hinting from the president here at the university that there may be a Title IX issue, and it was so many rumors flying around. Ended up that Naquan Tomlin was dismissed from the team, and now he's doing very well in Memphis. So, yeah, it was a very dramatic couple of weeks a little while back here for K-State. So, Ryan, here to wrap up, I mentioned earlier, I mean, these two teams know each other very well. Tyler Perry played for Grant McCasland at North Texas. Failed to mention this earlier, but Jareem Dowling was an assistant under Grant McCasland. I mean, these guys know each other very well, especially with the coaching staffs, know each other very well. I see this, just really coming down as a dogfight. I don't think it's going to be anything less than that. What's your thought or two on how this game will play out?
Here's Captain Obvious. I think the team that shoots better from the field is probably going to win. Imagine that. Tech's got to get to the free throw line in all seriousness on this game. I think they've got to be aggressive. They've got to make more free throws than Kansas State attempts in order to win this. And I'll say again, don't shoot too many threes. Don't shoot too many threes because you'll turn around and you'll be on that lopsided side of the fast break points. And I always compare, by the way, this is something, for fans out there. Look in the box score, fast break points to three-pointer points made, and see where the discrepancy there is. Did you make so many more three-pointer points against the other team, or did you give up more on the long run-outs? And that's a really cool trend number to look at some games. Not every game, but some games. So get to the free throw line. I think this is about a 5.5 point game. I don't even know what the number is today. I didn't even look. But I'd have it at about if I were posting a number, I'd say Tech at home, 3.5, 4. And I think somebody's going to win this by about 5.
Yeah, I think Tech is a slight favorite. And, playing at home, United Supermarkets Arena, tough environment. It can be. This will be a tough one for the Cats to pull off. But I'm with you. I expect a close game in Lubbock and to be a dogfight. Ryan, it's always great to catch up with you and talk Texas Tech sports. Really appreciate your time and looking forward to our next conversation.
You got it, man. You guys are the best. I always loved in my travels coming up there to Manhattan, and it's a neat, fun, special place. So, and hopefully we can get Raiderland on the road here again soon and maybe come up there and see you guys.
Once again, that's our good friend Ryan Hyatt from the Raiderland.com joining us here on the game. We talking Texas Tech hoops this time around. Let's take another timeout. We'll finish hour one of the game after these words. K-Man's going to have coverage of the Chiefs and Dolphins. Saturday night, 7 o'clock, pregame at 6 here on K-Man. The game is on the Peacock Network. Save your money. Listen to the game for free. Listen to Mitch Holtis and crew here on K-Man with, again, pregame starting at 6. Speaking of that game, we know it's going to be super cold. Wind chill 30 below, 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts. People are trying to sell their tickets. Ticket prices, as you could expect, are absolutely plummeting. 5 minutes ago,
temperatures.
5 minutes ago, yeah. The tickets, they're approaching that wind chill number.
I'll give you $15.
I just looked at TickPick, which is my preferred secondary. Would it be third party? No.
Yeah.
It's a secondary
market.
Secondary market.
Secondary market.
Because the price you see is what you pay. I mean, if there is a few fees, it's in the price, and it's cheaper. The fees are less than like StubHub.
Nice.
I did actually 5 minutes ago. I think they just sold because I refreshed. There were $35 tickets.
Dang.
35 plummeting price dollar tickets. Now it's back up to like $45, $46. But it's still crazy cheap for a Chiefs playoff game.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
$35. I wonder what at game time is going to still be about 35 to 45.
Hey, come on in. Come on in. You guys are fine. Come on in.
Yeah, just wave them in.
Like old K-State games.
It's general mission.
Exactly.
It's all general mission. All right, we got to take a break. We've reached the top of the hour. When we come back, another preview of Texas Tech, my preview. Mitch Palm against the Red Raiders. K-State women's basketball getting set to host number 10 Texas. Blindly Week 5, Ask Us Anything, your local news is on the way as well. Stick around. You're listening to The Game on K-Man.